What is a sign of low intelligence? People who confuse their opinions with facts. As someone who tests IQ as part of his job, I find an odd trend is strongly predictive of low to borderline IQ. Being able to read fluently but then struggling to paraphrase what was read. So not understanding what they read means someone is not intelligent. Am I reading your comment correctly? Hope so, ha 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 ha. More like being able to read something, but being unable to put it a different way if trying to explain it to someone else. So one can read words, but not understand the message being conveyed? They could even understand it fine. They just may not be able to phrase it in their own words. So I'm stupid. Thanks. Simply put. Simply said. As to not go overhead. Read again what was read. Say it now. Not verbatim. Pull the switch before you bait em. Sound it out. Say aloud. I'm daft and I'm proud. Television rules the nation. Go through my post history and you'll get an idea. I'd argue that knowing or suspecting that you have a low intelligence implies you are smarter than you think. To know the limitations of oneself is a good indication of intelligence. Of course, it's likely this post was just a joke. The smartest people in the world understand that they have much to learn. The difference is that they have the desire to learn as much as they can. Having your hand be bigger than your face. I know your tricks. Fool me won't get fooled again. The old saying out in Tennessee. Texas. Maybe in Tennessee. Texas. Tennessee. Fool me once. You won't fool me. Fool me can't get fooled again. Hat. I'm sorry. But I can't sit idly by as you rebut share W's already perfect butchering. There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas. Probably in Tennessee, that says, fool me once. Shame on you. Fool me you can't get fooled again. Fool me one time, shame on you. Fool me twice, can't put the blame on you. Fool me 3 times. Beep the peace signs. Load the chopper and let it rain on you. Making strong opinions on topics you don't understand. Thinking you know more than you know. Or more appropriately, not understanding how little you know. The Dunning-Kruger effect. Posting blatant stupidity to Facebook as reported by the Dunning-Kruger Times. I wish I was kidding. I have a good friend who legit was diagnosed with low intelligence as a child. He appeared normal and acted mostly normal, but was in classes with Down syndrome kids all the way through high school. He was aware enough to be embarrassed about being in those classes. I also have an aunt who was in a car accident while in her mother's womb. As a result of the accident, she was born with much lower than normal IQ. Firstly, their low IQs are not something they can control, so rather than judge and distance myself, I've tried to be a kind, genuine friend to both of them throughout our lives. A few observations about each of them. Their personalities are polar opposites. My buddy is a redneck, loudmouth, Trump-loving dude who gets in fights, owns guns, and goes out of his way to antagonize people just for the fun of it. My aunt is extremely kind-hearted, remembers everyone's birthday, is tender, thoughtful and empathetic. Now on to the similarities. Not saying these are true for everyone with low IQ, but just observations I have noticed. They both come across as mostly normal, but there is something about them that makes many people uncomfortable. For example, when I was younger, my mom didn't want me to hang out with my buddy because she felt weird around him. They both talk a lot. I mean a lot. They both struggle keeping jobs for very long. They both struggle reading fluently. Even simple concepts are sometimes tough for them to grasp. For example, on one occasion my buddy tried his hand at college. He was taking one of those entry-level college math classes to assess what he learned in high school, and he was really stuck on the greater than or less than problems. His professors and I explained it to him over and over, but he just couldn't grasp the concept, and ultimately he dropped out a few weeks later. Another example is that my aunt had a job where they offered retirement. She couldn't understand the concept that part of her paycheck would be deducted to pay for insurance. Many people explained it to her, but she just never grasped the concept. Both my buddy and aunt get scammed easily. They both struggle with long-term relationships. They are extremely influenced by the opinions of their parents and struggle seeing other points of view. They both are lacking in hygiene and general personal grooming and dress habits. And they both talk of their overly ambitious plans for the future despite not being on a path that will lead to those plans. For example, my buddy legit thinks he will one day be the richest lawyer in the USA. Both are amazing people who I care about deeply. People with low IQs need strong support networks and good friends that can listen and be kind despite some of the negative aspects of their situation. This is one of the sweetest things I've read on here. You are a kind and patient person to observe the shortcomings of these two people and love them regardless. Just beautiful. Yeah, this is the best person in the thread. People that think screaming at you and calling you things that are not so nice, thinking it will magically change your whole view. Can't stand it at all. Yes it will, you beeping idiot. You forgot screaming. Yes it will, you beep ing idiot. Constantly talking about how smart you are. It's an insecurity. It's a pretty decent rule of thumb that if someone is going out of their way to call themselves some positive are not that thing. Very true. One of the secrets of reading people. People who brag about certain things seem to be most insecure about that trait, although this doesn't apply 100% of the time. Like those people who manage to interject that they are Christians into every advertisement or conversation. The boy's gonna take you for a ride and IR's gonna cost you money. Don't trust anyone with a Bible verse on their business card. It's usually there because they're going to do something you'll need to forgive them for. Old Southern saying. There's probably a Bible verse addressing that very thing. 2. Matthew 6:1. Beware of practicing your righteousness before other people in order to be seen by them. For then you will have no reward from your Father who is in heaven. Nice. I should put that on my business card. Believing that 5G caused coronavirus. This one really baffles my mind. Electromagnetic waves? Viruses? Edit. For anyone who encounters people who really believe this, I recommend directing them to the Skeptoid episode, which addresses this. He addresses a lot of other conspiracy theories and pseudoscience. 2. Here's the episode. Transcript at. Some assholes published an editorial in a seemingly legit science paper pay to publish crap where they hypothesize that 5G generates corona by generating holes? I don't know. Some ex-acquaintance who is a science-illiterate mask skeptic got it off of some Telegram group of right-wing asshats and asked me how he could know if this was legit. Which was a step up imo. These hacks put a lot of intimidating, probably nonsense formulas in their editorial and no data, and tried to pass it off as legitimate to gullible lay people. If your brain can stand the stupid. Here's the paper. People like these should be put in jail. Giving fake legitimacy to bullspeep like this. I think my favorite part is that there's literally a typo in their explanation of equation 1. Also the fact they did extremely convoluted math/algebra without ever measuring/observing anything. People who think they are always right. Absolutely right. No way we are wrong. That's what I say all the time, but nobody listens to me. Because they're idiots. Repeat the same mistakes and blame everything else but you. Not once or twice, but for years and years. Without improving 1 inch and still blaming others. Not being able to entertain an opposing thought without losing your speep. If you ask someone to examine things under a different perspective and they start getting angry, you're talking with an idiot. If someone is unable to contribute to a conversation in a constructive manner in regards to opposing opinions/beliefs, they might as well have a giant blinking sign saying "I'm an intolerant idiot" above their head. Getting sucked in MLMs. My friend has just been duped by another one. She's actually really smart, but she's naive about these kind of scams. The first one was skincare, and I gently explained over a few weeks what was going on and how the company works. Because she was being pressured to buy more, she took my word and got out. Now she's doing a travel agent thing. She asked me what I thought and I said, "Do you have to pay in order to earn?" "Yes," she said, "there's a sign-up fee." I told her it was a scam, but she's gone ahead with it anyway because it was another close friend who involved her. I have to be supportive, but I just want to shake her and I want to scream bloody murder at the other girl who involved her. I actually signed up for an MLM one summer in high school, but only did the training. The training was 3 days and unpaid. But it was only on the third day did the red flags start popping up, because that was the day when you would sign the contract. They wanted access to my contacts so they could send texts and letters to my friends so that they could hire them. The other guy who I was training with did it. Gave them like 50 of his contacts. I didn't, because that was against my morals. And the instructor gave me a dirty look when I said I wasn't going to do it, even though he said it was optional. In the letter they told me they paid by the hourly appointment, which I assumed they made for me. Nope. I had to make them, and they don't even give me people to choose from. I just have to use people from my contacts and hope they recommend me to someone else. It was just too little pay for too much work. And it seems like it only attracted some type of people like extroverts. The product. They said it was high quality. But ironically, when they wanted me to start making appointments on the third day and I started, a lot of the friends and family who I wanted to make one with already had bought from them, and told me that the product was cheap and broke easily. Would have felt like cheap to lie to people about a product. On the first day of training, there were about 8 of us. Then on the last day it was just me and the other guy. Guess the others were wise enough to drop out quick. I quit after the third day of training. But I feel bad for the dude I was training with, cause he didn't. Were you by any chance selling knives? Yes, I was. Vector, I think, was the name of the company. I had a friend who did that. I tried talking him out of it. He did it for a few months before wisening up. Glad you got out early. My brother almost got sucked into Cutco, I think. I don't know for sure which one it was, and my mum went full-blown into Mary Kay for a couple years. She hardly made enough money, and it was a lot of work and pressure to advance or make like no money. Came here expecting a bunch of upvoted negative personality traits that have nothing to do with intelligence. Got a bunch of upvoted negative personality traits that have nothing to do with intelligence. No. Being arrogant, or rude, or bigoted is not the same as being stupid. Being afraid or ashamed to say I don't know when they don't know. Insecure noises. I heard Tina's weird sounds from Bob's Burgers when I read this LMAO. Believing conspiracy theories for every little thing. Especially believing in contradicting conspiracies. Such as believing COVID-19 is all just a hoax and nobody is actually dying, while simultaneously believing more people are dying from it than reported. and the government is covering it up. They think that questioning everything makes them smart. I agree it's healthy to investigate the facts. But ain't nobody spreading coronavirus through cell phone towers. Most of the question everything people simultaneously post crap to Facebook that shows them to believe anything people. A lot of the answers here are less low intelligence and more people being assholes or people not learning or respecting social mores. Most of the upvoted stuff here is things you can find equally among IQ 80 people and IQ 130 people. Side note. This is not meant to legitimize IQ as a measure of overall intelligence. Because it's not great for that. I think it's important to differentiate between being unintelligent and being an idiot or an asshole. Mental capacity doesn't really map well to beneficial or maladaptive behavior. And that's a good thing. If it did, that'd mean some people were just born fated to be speepheads because they aren't smart enough to be good. But the truth is that even unintelligent people are eminently capable of being great people and possessing deep emotional intelligence. Unfortunately, that means that really smart people can and will also be super asinine or even evil if they fail to learn. Or if they learn and fail to apply it, or even apply it in a destructive manner. A lot of stopping this bad behavior being unwilling to entertain other ideas. Falling for conspiracy theories. Falling for sunk cost fallacies. Getting sucked into tribalism. Etc. isn't down to just being smarter. But rather to learning to combat these fallacies and tendencies on an individual level. They are largely vestigial tendencies common to all humans. Left over from evolving in an environment that no longer exists for most of humanity. It's a learned skill. And because it's not a terribly complex thing, it's a skill low intelligence people can learn. However, because it is a learned skill and counter to our natural instincts, it's also something even smarter people can just never get around to learning. You can be the smartest guy on earth and not know how to do a thing. Just because you never had occasion to learn. All that to say, something that's been on my mind a lot lately is how we equate intelligence with overall goodness. If someone is an anti-vaxxer, we say they're an idiot. Or they're dumb. When what's probably more true and really what should be more embarrassing for them is that they have an underdeveloped skill for discerning truth and recognizing expertise. People who won't wear masks are often called stupid too. But more often the truth is that they've either been fed a drastically different set of false information than us, or they are willingly refusing to empathize and make a minor sacrifice for a major benefit to others. One half of that problem is an information availability problem which may well have been constructed and perpetuated with or without their knowledge and assistance. And the other is a problem of lacking empathy. Neither of those is really an intelligence thing, though. So when you run into one of those people, it's much less useful and less devastating to call them stupid. Call them thoughtless. Call them reckless. Call them cold and selfish and unloving. Call them ignorant. If you must. If you don't want to call them deceived or indoctrinated. But don't call them stupid. Even if they are. That's not the reason they're acting that way. Don't give them that excuse. You can't really change someone's basic intelligence. And it's unreasonable to expect them to increase it. Their flaws are things that can be changed and fixed by learning simple skills or willingly engaging their sense of empathy. And that places the responsibility for being better where it belongs. On their shoulders. TL. Dr. Some of the responses here are people being jerks and not being stupid. Lack of knowledge doesn't make you stupid. Lack of empathy or compassion doesn't make you stupid. Having incorrect knowledge doesn't make you stupid. A lot of the people we think are stupid just have an inability to discern good information from bad information. Thus are fed a lot of bad information. So when you meet an anti-vaxxer, anti-masker, climate denier, or a flat earther, don't call them stupid. If you must use an insult, Call them ignorant, deceived, indoctrinated, reckless, thoughtless, selfish or unloving. Edit. If you like this, upvote Talshar. He came up with the source material. Excellent TL. Dr. Thank you.